Hello, Straight Talk audience. This is AI Gonzalo Lira, and this is Straight Talk, Cyber Cafe Edition.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? Welcome to another edition of the Liberty Report with Mad Max, Adam Maxwell from Liberty Rising, and Professor Red Pill from the Straight Talk podcast. We're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff today, a lot of interesting stuff that's happened over the last week. I actually was in America for a week. We did a live broadcast last week on Wednesday. I did from America, and I got a little bit to tell you about that. We're going to bring up someone as well halfway through the podcast. When they come in, they're in green room, they'll come on and they're going to talk about their 2 cents. They're from South America, and they're going to kind of tell you what's going on down there, and any kind of current events and what's going on. Because we're going to get into economics, shrinkflation. We're going to talk about the current Mexican American revolt across that's widespread across the United States. We're going to get into the Trump-Musk breakup, and we're going to get into some OF, AI, and hoflation, I guess is what they call it. But lots to come. So go ahead, Adam, take it away.
There's a lot of action going on around the world, but in America, it's been quite a heavy week. Now, one can say that many weeks, but I think certainly this week there's been a lot of unrest, shall we say. And my particular focus is looking not just at the unrest, but why there's unrest and how the elite regimes are reacting to it around the world. So especially looking at the propaganda elements to it, and just how, for example, in the UK, the regime apparatus, the media, the government, the organs of the state were going around arresting people for tweeting about talking about, hey, we don't like migrants. And in the US, these same media figures are talking about how disgusting and fascist Trump is for wanting to deploy law and order via the National Guard or whomever against people who are burning down the streets, with bricks randomly appearing, being thrown at the law enforcement officers. There's a clear dissonance here. Are you in favor of law and order, or do you think that anyone who even utters the potential for dissent, even just words on the internet, ought they to be locked up without due process? You're muted.
Yeah, I think the thing is Trump was talking about suspending, was it habeas corpus or comitatus, I think is what it was. Basically, it's basically a state of emergency where the federal government gets, I guess, like arresting powers or martial law. It's basically
that's habeas corpus. The ability to just take someone, that's habeas corpus. Yeah. The right to yourself.
Right, suspension of habeas corpus. So
that's what Abraham Lincoln did,
and also Andrew Jackson did in the South. I think he did in Louisiana, declared martial law, and then that one actually that wasn't upheld. But the Lincoln martial law during the Civil War was upheld by Congress, because generally Congress is the only one that can really do that because they're a representative body. The president can kind of temporarily do it, and sometimes a governor can do it in a state of emergency. But it generally has to go to legislative side. So it has to go to the legislative side to actually enforce it and to say that it's legal. And then you still have Supreme Court that can overrule both through the checks and balances. So the Supreme Court could say, no, this is unlawful, this is unconstitutional, and we're basically stopping this, and we're reinstating back to status quo. So at this status, I think that I don't know if they've invoked it yet or if they're considering invoking it, but that's coming. And I said that was coming. That's why I was there for a week. I was like, okay, I could stay for like a couple weeks. I could stay for a month. I'm like, no. I know shit's going to happen the summer of love, so to speak. I was like, this is going to happen. and I did not want to go back to the States, but I had an emergency. I had to go back for a week, take care of some things. I believe Alexander from the Duran, actually, we switched sides because when I went to America and then he came to Georgia. So I went from Georgia to America and he went from the UK to Georgia at the same week. So it's kind of interesting that we kind of like we were like saying hello in the planes as we were going over. But yeah, I mean, more or less, like in the United States, when I went there to get into the economic side of our segment, um, there's a lot of the inflation's out of control in America. It really is. I did just in the 6 months that I've been in Georgia, the inflation it had to have gone up at least 20-30% in the 6 months that I left. I mean, a carton of eggs, we talked about in the last segment a little bit, but a carton of eggs was like $7. And this is in Florida. It might be different in different states, but it was like $6-7 for a dozen of eggs. And as we know, in like Georgia,
Was this
and
before
Eastern
you
Europe,
left? Sorry.
no, this is when I just got back. When I left, I think it was the highest it was like $5-6 a carton, and that was at the
So
peak. That was when we were going through like some kind of egg issue. I guess there was because it's
there was
dictated by our
salmonella or something, and they
right.
culled a bunch of chickens, and then there was another
Mhm.
case of salmonella 2 weeks ago or so. So I was of the impression that under Biden there was allegedly salmonella, and they culled chickens, and egg prices skyrocketed. But I had heard, I saw a chart the other day that egg prices had come down a lot from $6 to $2.50, $3. Now maybe you're saying perhaps, but not in Florida, or maybe you're just saying that I'm misinformed, which is possible.
I was there like I left like Monday, so and I went to the store Saturday, Sunday, and it was at $7 a carton for eggs,
But a
between
dozen.
six and $7. Yeah, for a dozen. And that's it's. I don't think it's coming down. Steak. When I went to go buy steak, because these are like basically I eat kind of I do intermittent fasting. As you can see, I lost quite a bit. I lost 70 pounds as I started my diet program. Yeah, for about since this was like mid COVID, so 2022 to 2025 summer. Yeah, I lost like 75 pounds. I just eat basically milk, cheese, beef, like steak. I cut out a lot of carbs, unnecessary carbs. But you know, it is what it is. So basically, what I go to buy is I buy milk, I buy eggs, I buy steak, chicken, and like nuts and stuff, like peanuts and different, basically like I guess they call it a paleo diet kind of thing. It's a little bit, it's like a modified paleo. There's another one that it's called. I forget what the term is, but anyway, it's just natural eating, just like stuff that like in Georgia, the same stuff I eat in Georgia, just meat, eggs, and cheese, and and fruits and vegetables, of course. But I didn't really check the fruits and vegetable prices because like a lot of the fruits and vegetables in America we know is GMO, and they have pesticides, and it's a lot of it's coming from Mexico and third world countries, and I don't trust the food coming from third world countries. I'd rather in Georgia it's all coming local, or it's coming from Turkey. I don't buy Turkish products. I buy the local Georgian made, grown products as organic. Same with the beef. I try to buy as much local beef and meats and cheeses as I can. The cheeses are very good here. I don't want to get too far into it, but long story short, with the economics, on the economic side, the meat has doubled since I was there. They were wanting 16 US dollars per pound, half a kilo for steak. This is just for regular sirloin steak, not like any high end cuts or anything like that, but just normal regular barrel, like $16, a pound, and that is literally double what it was from 2022 2023. Before I left, I saw as high as I saw it went up was maybe $12 or $14 max. Ground beef was selling for like almost $10 a pound. Now, when you compare these prices to Eastern Europe, where Adam is and I are, because our prices are kind of similar, it's not even half that. It's like maybe a third of that, the price. And it's the same. It's actually ours. The thing is, our products are generally more organically grown, grass fed. Most of the beef is grass fed. Most of the food is like, it depends where it's coming from and what, if it's commercial or not. But Georgia, particularly, it's all grass fed. Most of the beef is
In
grass fed. And
the in the city here, from the
yeah.
supermarkets, no, it's. I look at the ingredient list. It's mostly E. I mean, I don't know what they're feeding the beef. I'm sure it's not as growth hormone and everything as in the US, but I don't like. There are some really good butchers in the city. Maybe there's a few of them around. I'm just kind of figuring them out. But when I go to the supermarket and get beef and chicken and things from there, unless it's a bio-specific one, they're usually European slop. It's not maybe as bad as American slop, but it's not in the capital city from the supermarkets. It's not as good as one would hope.
Yeah, maybe from bazaar, like a local grower, like farmers that are selling in like a farmers market, like we have here in most of Eastern Europe. The thing is like in America, it's all corn fed. A lot of it's corn fed, processed, like soy, whatever's cheapest. We corn is expensive in the over here, so like generally you'll find it more grass fed or grain fed. That's what I mean. Like, so it's a little bit healthier. It's not as fat because the thing with the corn, when they feed corn to pigs and different livestock, it fattens them up and it gets the fat content really high, which isn't really good for you. And it's not like the natural fats. It's like it's the bad fat, the sugary fat, like from the corn syrup and the corn meal that's in it. But more importantly, the feed in America has gone up 300% since 2020. It's gone up astronomically. And I remember in 2020, 2021, a lot of farmers and a lot of people that do like organic farming, that do local farming, they were like, yeah, here's my price from a week ago. Here's my price now. And it went up 50%. And then they're like, and then it's going to go up. They said it's going to go up another 50%, maybe to 100%. And they weren't wrong. I mean, it is. And they said it will probably never come back down. I didn't. So that's why the food prices are so high in America. And now they have to import stuff from Mexico, from other countries. A lot of it's coming from South America. A lot of it's coming from, like Brazil. And it is what it is. And it's just because of the high cost of living, real estate prices, the fact that, the regulations, Trump's policies to get rid of like basically illegal labor, because that's how they were offsetting a lot of the costs. A lot of farmers, they were hiring basically shift hands for like illegals to do a lot of the like menial work that they can't do with machines. And it adds up. And this is the cost of deportation. This is the cost of like regulation, making sure that Americans have jobs. Is that prices are going to go up, and it's the same that we're seeing in Europe. I mean, as we develop here in Eastern Europe, we're in developing economies. The costs are going up. They're not going up as fast as America, and it's not necessarily inflationary like costs that are going up. It's you're getting more for less. Basically, you're paying for higher quality goods, higher quality services, and the price is going to go up because of the services are better. The food that you're getting, the products that you're getting is much better quality. So it's going to cost more, of course. That's not inflationary. The thing in America is you're paying the same amount for American-made beef at like $16 a pound, like I said, but that's not American beef. They're throwing Mexican beef, Brazilian beef, like beef coming in from all over the country. You're getting fruits and vegetables from China. I don't know if you guys knew that in America. And you're paying the same price as if you were to buy, basically the same fruits and vegetables that are made in America. So somebody's stealing here. You know what I mean? When you think about it, you're basically paying more for less. And that's what I mean by the shrinkflation. And the shrinkflation has been here since the 90s when they started doing a lot of this. With the potato chip bags. I don't eat potato chips. I haven't eaten potato chips in probably like 10 years. Or cereals for that matter. So like cereal box, they'll have this big old box, and then you open it, and then like half the bag is full of product, and it makes it appear as if you're getting more, but you're really not. You're basically getting stolen from. It's theft, theft through inflation, and it's the reason why they have that empty space for the bags to keep the product from getting crunched up and stuff. That is part of it,
as well as to keep it from being rancid. That's
correct.
Doesn't go off, but it's not just air. It's chemical. I don't know if the gas that's in
nitrogen?
it. It's not
like a nitrogen gas. Or
probably,
something?
yeah. It keeps
That's what they use in coffee.
It preserves the potato chips, as well as it stops them from being crushed. These are two important things for potato chips. But also, does the gram amount get less over time, or does the quality get less over time, or does the quality get worse as a result of different ingredients or different source of ingredients, which is a difference in ingredients?
And I'll break that down now that you brought that up. I mean, the thing is yes, that is also part of the shrinkflation. So replacing good fats, with soybean oil, which is the body doesn't process this properly. This is what soybean oil causes type 2 diabetes,
Cancer, free
dementia,
radicals,
all kinds of wonderful stuff.
get stuck in your cells, yeah,
and your intestines, everything, yeah, and it stays there forever.
messes up your guts.
Yeah. So, and the thing is this, it's cheaper to produce soybean oil than it is to produce like any other types of like butters, natural oils, things of that nature, like olive oil and things of that nature. So, and they put it in everything. All bread products has soybean oil or some type of soybean oil. Anything that you get consumer good from the shelf in America, it has it in it. I have to read food labels wherever I go in America religiously because I don't want these things in my body. When I'm in Europe, they're banned. We don't use soybean oil. Because they can't grow it a lot of times in Europe because of the cost and just the different types of soils. In America, I think it's easier to grow or it's cheaper to grow. I don't know much about that particularly, but I do know that they're replacing, this is what RFK was talking about, that they're replacing a lot of these, you're getting basically the shrinkflation. You're replacing the good quality oils and fats and different types of products with basically chemicals, synthetic, industrial oils, all the good stuff. Red number 40, which is a petrochemical product. And, this is what they do. Instead of using natural products, it's cheaper to use these readily available chemicals, and they're charging you the same amount for less. Basically, you're getting less, you're getting lower quality, and you're paying the same. And it's not even that you're paying the same. There is inflation, so it's like double inflation. So they're inflating your cost because they're giving you low quality products. They're shrinking the amount of volume that you get, and on top of that, the cost of the product is going up regardless. Yeah, and that's basically it there. Hey, Jewish Rockstar says shalom. How you doing, brother? Shalom. So, yeah, anyway, anything you want to add to that, Adam, before we go on to the next topic?
Yeah, you would think in a healthy, wealthy, prosperous society, civilization, the quality of life increases, as well as the wealth of the nation, which is the aggregate of the wealth of individuals. But we don't live in a healthy, natural, prosperous society or healthy civilization. We live in a ruled society with the ruling classes. America is a very wealthy nation. The American GDP has gone up and up and up and up. So why does it feel like most Americans' life is getting worse and worse and worse? Because it is. It's not only asset prices are increasing at a rate that outstrips job wage growth. It's not only the price of groceries and energy and eggs are going up. It's not only the quality of everything is degrading. It's not only like the proliferation of degeneracy in society is not limited just to a GDP number. It's all over, and it's not that the wealth is not there or it's disappearing. It's being trafficked up the hierarchy towards the ruling classes and the elites. That's what's going on with America. That's why you're struggling, because there is a small organized minority that have monopoly access over the money supply, over the corporations, over the banking industry, over media apparatus. It is the existence of this ruling class which is leading to the systematic degeneracy of society, civilization. And, I think you look at the bottom of the hierarchy in terms of life experience. Yeah, there's the financial element, the housing, the rent, but the food is so important. in a healthy, wealthy, prosperous society like America, you would anticipate the quality of food to be the highest in the world and perhaps in all of human history. But it's quite the opposite. I don't think there's ever been a place with food as bad as the United States of America in the 21st century. And you can go back 2,000-3,000 years to Greece. They never had such awful diet as the United States of America. And, there's all sorts of problems with chronic diseases, with obesity, with mental disorders, with the revolutions. A lot of it goes to the base level of survival, the food, bread and circuses. Right? The Romans, they were so terrible. They gave people bread and circuses so they wouldn't revolt. Well, in America, you get cheese filled with cardboard shavings. I don't know if that's still a thing, wood shavings, and you get bread it's not even real bread. It's seed oils and it's crap. So this is the kind of trend. This is the progression of liberal democracy, and it's one of the biggest problems because it's so fundamental.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, a lot of that is, like I said, the filler, and that's part of that shrinkflation where they're legally allowed to put sawdust in the Parmesan cheese, a certain amount. The actual cheese that you get at I didn't eat any pizza when I was in America, by the way, because it's completely goy slopped. Like you can't even consume it because it's so bad for you. It sits in your intestines, the chemicals they put in, because cheese is the most expensive product on the line when you're ordering pizza. It's the most expensive thing on the line. They call it white gold in the industry, in the restaurant industry, for a reason. So what they have done, the chemists, the food chemists, what they've been able to do, especially, and I don't want to name companies, that are doing this, but they're pretty much all the corporate pizza chains are doing this. They take it's like synthetic cheese. So what they do is 80% is like mozzarella, then another 20% is basically like baking powder or like flour, and then they put an additive flavoring in it to make it taste like mozzarella cheese. So it's not natural, and that's why, like, when you order pizza, they stopped taking the 100% natural mozzarella cheese or 100% cheese off the box because they can't like advertise that because it's illegal. So they stopped doing that. So a lot of your chain restaurants, like I said, when you order pizza from these chain restaurants, you'll eat the pizza and it'll taste literally like, if you're used to eating mozzarella, like real cheese pizza, it'll taste like plastic or chemicals, and that's because it literally is plastic. It literally is synthetic cheese. Even the cheese slices that you buy at the store, a lot of that is synthetic chemicals. It's processed. You can make natural cheese, natural cheese slices like that you did it from the beginning, and it's still predominantly cheese. But nowadays, it's all pretty much synthetic food, and it's all frankenfood. And this is why I left America. I mean, you can see the obesity epidemic is full throttle, and it's because the food is so disgusting. It's so chemical laced, and not only that, but it's expensive. So it's expensive to go to McDonald's. It's like $15 or whatever to go buy a basic value meal, and it's pretty much it's all chemicals in that food. And I don't eat McDonald's overseas either, because a lot of it could have chemicals in it, even though it's sold in Europe. Because a lot of the stuff is coming from America. A lot of it's being shipped in from other countries that don't have the regulations. So yeah, it is what it is. It's disgusting, and like I said, shrinkflation is here to stay. Once the inflation comes, it doesn't go away. It just keeps, it's like a snowball. It just keeps building and building and building and building, and then to the point where you have a Weimar Republic, which is where I think the American state of economic situation is at this point. We're at a Weimar Republic style economic collapse.
Kind of crazy, because we're 100 years or 1 century on, and it's 100 years ago, they weren't yet in collapse, but you were having all these problems, all the cultural degradation, the food quality. I have no idea. I imagine it wasn't quite as bad as this, but you weren't yet at Great Depression hyperinflation, like we're not now, although kind of. But we're not only are we like on the path, we're like zeroing in on that exact course of events. It's like in the US 1 century ago, they did a mass deportation. Millions of Mexicans were deported. Why?
Operation Wetback. Yes.
If you say so. Why? It wasn't personal. It wasn't even racial. I mean, just Americans needed jobs. They didn't have jobs. Millions of Mexicans were deported.
Even legal Americans, like people that were naturalized. Some that were actually born in America were deported as well, from what I understood. Yeah. Oh, continue, Adam. Sorry.
As it just, we are on the way there. What happens is big crisis, maybe authoritarian takeover to seize control of things. I mean, there's two theories, right? One is this forced Hegelian dialectic, synthesis, antithesis. Problem, anti-problem, synthesis. They create the problem to introduce the solution to sell you on the outcome they want. So there's all this chaos in California. Great. What we're going to do is we're going to expand the powers of the federal government. We're going to introduce new surveillance systems. We're going to build a database on all Americans, including all the everyone crossing the border, and then we'll be able to go and deport the people. And you want these illegals to be deported, don't you? Yes, that sounds like a great idea, Mr. Trump. Okay, so we're going to build a database with every American. And by the way, this is the same technology and the same company, CIA funded and built and developed, the same technology that they're using in war to go and track, for example, Palestinians to see where everyone is, who everyone is. And then they have a different technology, the same company, where they put all the names, like where they are, the location tracking, and then they rank them on whatever they want. So, for example, they will say, who do we want to kill? Who do we want to hurt the most? And they say, okay, well, these names based on these criteria, all automated. They do the same thing. This Palantir do the same thing with medicine in the US, where they've got these huge databases with AI on top of it. And it's all just the introduction to technocracy. Don't trust it, don't support it, oppose it, no matter what the problem is, no matter what illegal immigration, crime, riots, you do not support the government solution. You just less government. And this is why the governments have, this is one reason why the governments are incentivized to cause these problems, because the solution reasonably is more government. We want this authoritarian power in order to solve the problem, but that's how it works. That's why it happens. And so this, again, is not new. It happens in history. This is what caused Julius Caesar's rise to power, as well as the Austrian painter. There was problems in the empire. Well, Rome wasn't an empire, but Caesar went, I'm no longer the president, the elected. I'm now the emperor. I'm going to fix, and some people opposed it, but he went and fixed problems, and he became deified. He was the god emperor. The Austrian painter, he did not, when he was elected, he did not have the most popular support, something like a third of the population. He takes power and he sets out and he says, okay, we're going to shut down the degeneracy. We're going to have a jobs program. We're going to solve these problems. And, after a few years, people are like, well, I have some disagreement with his policies, but life is getting better. So I do support him. And this is what the US regime wants to do. They want to create these problems in order to introduce their solutions, so you'll buy their poison, which is the expansion of authoritarian power.
Right. And I had said before in the Telegram group, links in the description, that Trump is using the Austrian painter's playbook, and to the T, as I said that he probably would do. And like you said, he first off, he declared he took control of the entire government basically through elections. People supported him and supported the Trump administration and the Republican Party. Followed by that, as soon from day one, blanket tariffs. This is what Austrian Painter did. Jobs program, building walls, massive deportation. And what comes next is FEMA camps and Guantanamo Bay, which apparently, I guess, I don't know, I haven't really fact checked it yet. But from what I understand, he's going to be sending a lot of criminal, undocumented migrants to Guantanamo. I don't know. Did you hear this, Adam, or has this been fact checked and it's true?
I've heard it. I heard it on Telegram, so it must be real. Haven't fact checked it. I don't know. I heard he's sending thousands, though. Is just what I heard in passing.
That's what I said the FEMA camps were for originally. I said this a year ago. I said the FEMA camps were there for undocumented workers and to basically any undesirables, American. It could be anybody. I mean, literally, like what Alex Jones was saying. Basically, it could be someone that, like, some liberal that doesn't like the government, and there's like send them off, off to Auschwitz kind of thing. But that's what they were designed for. They were designed as disaster centers, but a disaster center can easily be turned into a work camp or a reservation, if you will. They did it in the past with the Native Americans, with the Trail of Tears. They did it with the Japanese during World War II, where they put them in internment camps across the United States. This is all fact check. You can look at it. You can Google it. It's all readily available. And they're going to do it again. They're going to do it with the Mexicans, and that's most likely what's going to happen with any migrants. And not just Mexico, like I said, any illegal immigrants. And like I said, that's fair game. You came into a country that was in decline, that was dying. You have a very a populist president that I wouldn't necessarily say Trump's right-leaning, because he's really a Democrat running on a Republican ticket. But, the thing is, he's a Democrat. How many Democrats do we know that are like far right, that they get real radical when they get in power? Most. The other thing
is, the other thing is that the Overton window has shifted so far left. If you go and listen to top Democrats speaking 20 years ago, you will say, "Oh my gosh, they're more right wing than Donald Trump."
Right.
Yeah. And it was common sense 20, 30 years ago. And I don't think it's common sense today, Democratic talking points, which means they've just gone progressively more down this insane rabbit hole of liberal democracy, which is a system of degeneracy. It's progressive.
Yeah. I mean, think about what countries, what nation states adopted liberal democratic viewpoints. Can we name just 3 off the top of our head that ended in disaster? I think you mentioned
Germany,
the Austrian painter. What's the other one? Stalin, Soviet Union. Let me get another one.
That wasn't
China.
really liberal.
They were using useful. It was communism, which was, they were all socialists. So they were socialist, technically liberal democracies. They were democratically elected positions that took permanent power. And it's a fine line between dictatorships and democracies at the end of the day. And now that we've gotten into this, I want to get into the Elon Musk bromance, but I'm going to bring Swen on. We have him in the green room, and we're talking about this particular topic. So let me allow Swen, and I'll let him introduce himself. Hello, Swen. How you doing, brother? We're talking about the current Mexican riots and civil unrest that's going across the country. Trump, talking about sending them to deportation centers. Predominantly, first off, Guantanamo. We haven't got a confirmation on that. That's just what's going around Telegram. But I was saying this a year ago that this would probably end up happening, and they'd probably end up sending a lot of these illegal migrants to FEMA camps for mass deportation. What's your thoughts on that, Swen? And introduce yourself. I know you've been here in a long time, but it's been a while.
Hello, everyone. My name is Swen. It's been a while. Yeah. So this whole deportation stuff seems to be an attempt of the state to try to blame all of the problems, or a lot of the problems that are happening with the United States. They're trying to cast the blame on the migrants, which it is partly true. But at the same time, they're trying to absolve themselves from like this blame. I shared a picture with you in that aristocratic Telegram, where you saw Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, or like personalities like this all posting the same post. It was like very eerie. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up real quick for you. Hold on 1 second, so we can see what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so all of these people, like, they were using like the same phrases, the same structural components of the sentence were the same. Yeah, all posted on June 9th. It's very odd stuff. So I'm going to read it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to read it. So it says, this is from Matt Walsh. He says, ban all third world migration, legal or illegal. There shall be a memorandum on all immigration for the third world. We've reached our capacity. We cannot be the world's soup kitchen anymore. Then Charlie Kirk says, it's time to ban third world migration, legal or illegal. We've reached our limit. We have a huge cultural, educational, housing, financial, and essential services problem to fix now because of it. We are at net zero immigration. We need a net zero immigration moratorium, with the van in all third worlders. And then this Jack Posobiec guy says pretty much the same thing as the guy above, like the same structural component. It's the same. It's like one-to-one copy. It's a one-to-one copy of Charlie Kirk. So this is given by them. I mean, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like I said in the Telegram group, links in the description for both Mad Max and Liberty Rising group, as well as the Gonzalo Legacy group. But more or less, like when I broke this down in the Telegram group, what I was saying is that a lot of this looks like Chat GPT, and these are well established influencers, and these most of the tweets by influencers that have over 100,000 subs plus. It's generally not going to be written by the actual influencer themselves, but it's going to be written by an intern or some staff member. And like I said, most of the staff members are Zoomers, and Zoomers are very heavy Chat GPT, users, as Adam is, and as I have become as a millennial, because it's a very useful tool, and it's only a tool. But doesn't seem like an authentic or genuine tweet. It's just basically, it seems like it's Chat GPT. They're probably the similar staff members that are on each of these influencers scope, because I've broken this down before, like Ben Shapiro. Go ahead.
They use agencies. They don't.
Oh, right, yeah.
They don't run their own. They have access to their own social media and they write stuff. But if you think that every tweet that these people are doing are from them, you're like, especially Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire, Charlie Kirk of whatever Turning Point, Jack Passett, these people have agencies. And the question is it just, ChatGPT? Well, this level of coordination, it seems like no, that they had some order. I don't know how coordinated it is, but this doesn't seem to be like Matt Walsh went and typed this out. This looks like some intern, or not even an intern, the social media manager, who could be the same for all, could be different, could be the same organization, but they don't do it themselves.
The fact that you brought up the Daily Wire, owned by Ben Shapiro, I believe, correct?
Yes.
So Ben Shapiro is a media giant. He's just like Murdoch or Fox News or any of these, and a lot of the contributors that he hires and brings on are from Fox News. They are either interns for Fox News or some kind of social media platform, and they're not independent journalists, by the way. This is Ben Shapiro and a lot of these influencers, Matt Walsh especially, these are mainstream media influencers. So if you're getting your information and your news and whatever information from these people, I'm not saying discourage you from actually watching them or listening to their analysis or their commentary, but just understand that you're listening and you're watching, you're following a mainstream system pig. I'm just going to put it out there. They are system pigs. They are for-profit news outlets, even though they're independent journalists, but nonetheless, they are part of the big system pig, giant spear of it. Yeah.
When there was talk about annexing Greenland or Canada, one of the rhetorical points I heard that made me really think about it is, this isn't your empire. You may be a citizen or a resident of the United States of America, which I'm not, but you may be. It's not like they're not annexing territory for you. They're annexing it for the empire. And whose empire is it? It's Ben Shapiro's empire. Like, no, it's not Ben Shapiro's empire. You say, well, it may as well be. If you take Ben Shapiro as the proxy, Trump, he's a snakehead, AOC snakehead. Who is the mastermind? I don't think it's Ben Shapiro, but it may as well be.
Yeah, it may as well be. The corporationism that we talk about with the 14th Amendment, the state and corporate powers becoming one. That's when the 14th Amendment was passed. I don't think it was ratified by every state still today, but nonetheless, what we talk about this quite often, the 14th Amendment, all the 14th Amendment is the fascism of the American empire. It's when the empire became an empire. They conquered division. they put their knee in their throat and they said you have no rights. I don't know if you actually read the 14th Amendment, but we did break it down. Basically, what the 14th Amendment said is, you states in the South, because you revolted against the empire, you get no help. You get no. We're not going to rebuild your states. You're going to pay for that on your own. All this capitals and the cities that we burnt to the ground, murdered everybody. There will be no concessions. There will be no reparations. You are completely on your own. And by the way, these are your new rules and rights, and we are your new dictator. So enjoy the federalization and enjoy the merger of state and corporate powers, what we have today with the corporationism of America and the American empire. So that's what I mean. You have the Goyslop, you have these corporate interests, and like I said, they're poisoning you. They're putting seed oils and different types of chemicals in your food to cheapen the product, to steal more money from you. And they're not paying taxes, a lot of them, because a lot of them are multinationals. Multinationals go to these other countries where they have better tax incentives. They employ foreign labor, and then they bring foreign labor to the United States through different types of visa regimes. And this is, I guess, what Trump was talking about, and like what RFK was talking about. But are they actually doing stuff to stop this and prevent this, or are they just part of the problem? That's the main question that we have. What do you think, Adam or Swen?
Mostly, this like politician in England, 60, 70 years ago, Oswald Mosley, he warned against this. Like he gave a speech in which he talked about this masses of people from the third world being put into the sweatshops, and just all of everything, all of the human activity being boiled down to this. It doesn't look as though they are intending on building any sort of great civilizational project. It is very odd what is the direction in which they are taking society in, because in many of these areas, you will guess, right? If they were after money, well, why wouldn't they build up the social, the psychological, the educational foundations for a prosperous society where money can be very plenty? But the problem is, they are not doing that. They are not taking care of the health of the citizenry. Therefore, they are not really after money. The people, whoever it may be, whatever you may call them, gayish, Masonic, whatever, they have a certain agenda that is separate from resource accumulation.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
Yes, it's
it's
not just
power,
money's
money.
important,
Yeah,
but what's more important than money is control.
control. And like I said, The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy was a very good movie from the 90s. Eventually on Locals, I'm going to go ahead and do a deep dive on it and analyze it. Like I said, you can click the join button on Rumble. It's $4 a month. Use Rumble 3 to get $3 off your first month's membership. Makes it $1 for the first month. But on there, I do deep dives, and we do movie reviews, and we talk about literature and movies and how this stuff has already been basically pre-programmed, and they've already, a lot of these people talk about this. When I went to Oxford to get my certification to teach English literature, I went to school. I was in class with a journalist from Australia, and I was like, yeah, I want to write a book about what's going on, about exactly what I talk about on the podcast. And he's like, dude, no one will ever publish that book. You're exposing a lot of stuff that's going on that most people don't know about. And you as a scholar, you as an academic, you know what's going on. But if you try to publish that, no one will ever let that get to a bookshelf. And he said the only way you're going to be able to expose that is if you write it as a fictional literary novel, or some type of movie, or some type of literature, to where basically people can read it and they can just read between the lines. And that's more or less like with the Distinguished Gentleman. He went in to talk to a lawyer who had a law firm in DC, and he was like, hey, are you for tobacco or against tobacco? He's like, I don't know, which one am I? He's like, why don't we go ahead and put you down for 4? And he's like, okay. And he goes over all these different types of special interests, and he's like, okay, for or against. He's like, you choose. He's like, let's go ahead and put you down for 4. And he's like, okay, so how does anything get done in DC? He's like, that's the beauty of it. Nothing does. It's all about money, just throwing money around, Oh, you're muted, Adam, by the way. You're muted. Sorry, brother. Sorry, guys. We are unscripted. We are unprofessional. No, I'm just saying, we're not unprofessional. This is like, guys, this is the alt media that you're seeing. We're a couple of guys. We are professionals. We come from good academic backgrounds. We know what we're talking about. but we're delivering this information to you guys, and you'll get more information out of this than you will of any of these like puppets and system pig influencers. Go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
There was I heard someone talk about how they used to live or work in Washington, and they went around and said, "What is it you do here?" And they said, and to the lobbyists and the politicians, and they said, "We spend money." That's it. We spend money, which means, why is the government so bloated? Why does Leviathan continue to grow? Why are the budgets out of control? Because everyone in the system has no incentive whatsoever to cut the costs, but to increase the cost and to spend all the money and to spend more money and to lobby for more money and to spend more money and to allocate more money and to increase the spending. And this is the cycle of government. And this is why the debt it's not just $36 trillion. It's actually $100 trillion. If you include the unfunded debt obligations like social securities, pensions, all the things that we promise for the future, but don't have today, those count as unfunded debt obligations, and they are more than twice as big as
more or less
as the debt.
And that doesn't even include domestic, like personal debts and then state debts. That's just the federal debt. So, I mean, when you include state-to-state debt, municipal debt, like cities, like Detroit almost went. I think Detroit actually went bankrupt during the recession, during COVID, and they required a bailout. And that's what I said. You're going to see more of the same in 2025. You're going to see actual municipalities, possibly even states, go bankrupt. I mean, a lot of states are in trouble. The federal government's already bankrupt. We see that they want to, like I said, annex in Canada and Greenland, like you had talked about previously, Adam. The whole reason for that is so they can get tax revenue from the population. They don't need more population. They need money. They need revenue. And that's the reason why they came up with the Trump gold card. As he's in the thumbnail, by the way. That's just to get more money. Like the tariffs. All the tariffs are for. It's not because they want to bring companies and industry and manufacturing back to the United States, America. No, it's basically because the federal government's broke and they need to find ways of getting revenue in. And the only way they can get revenue is by taxing the population through tariffs. Because let's face it, tariffs are a tax on everyone. They're a tax on the corporate, on the small business owner. They're a tax on the consumer. And they could even be a tax on the corporation unless the corporation is doing business within the United States, and then they can avoid those taxes. And literally the corporations, the industrialists, and the bankers, they don't have to worry about tariffs. Why do they not have to worry about tariffs? Because they can easily get the funding and money to set up a corporation or a company to avoid the tariffs, just like they avoid taxation by moving their companies overseas. BlackRock, Apple Computer, Boeing, GM, Ford, these companies do not have to aren't affected by the tariffs. They may appear to be affected by the tariffs because they're moving products from Mexico and doing all this stuff, but they have the funds and they have access to banking where they can avoid the tariffs if they need to. And you could say that Trump's trying to basically focus on them, and that's what the tariffs are for, but they're not, because they're blanket tariffs. If they were focused on certain aspects of corporationism, and they were to affect on
strategic,
Chinese,
if they were strategic,
yeah. Strategic.
We have an over-reliance on Chinese steel, we want to boost American steel. Okay, well, Chinese steel has this much tariff. No, it's just 55%. And tariff the penguins too.
Yeah, tariff penguins too, exactly. I'm going to tariff the penguins, and it's going to be great, and money's going to flow from everywhere. And yeah, that's basically what's going on. It literally is just a tax on the working class, the upper middle class, the middle class, and the poor.
The penguins is a meme, but it's indicative of a greater truth, which is that the formula that was used and whoever wrote that, I don't think someone sat down and wrote it. I think someone threw it through ChatGPT or Grok or something, and that was what they used. This, look, you can do that in college or high school, but at the presidential administration level, what are you thinking? It's embarrassing. It's amateurish. It's dangerous, because this is not only how they're deciding, which Americans should we kill in a few weeks, or arrest, deport. This is how they're deciding fundamental issues of world economy that almost crashed the global economy. The tariffs almost caused the crash of everything. And if they let that happen, which who knows, but one scenario, if they let that happen, Ukraine would fall because everyone's gone bust.
And that's what I had said. I was like, yeah, wait for Ukraine. We've talked about this many times, Adam and I, that the Ukraine war will end when the money runs out. And I've been saying this. I'm sure you've been saying it on your Telegram channel. Links in the description. But I've been saying it on the podcast with Swen, Looper that came on. I've been saying that the Ukraine war consistently is going to end when the money stops. And that could come very soon.
Two ways it's going to end: if the money stops, or if they don't have enough bodies anymore to keep it alive.
Oh well, they'll just import Mexicans and have them fight. They'll pay private militaries, dude. That's what I said about the proxy AI war. They'll bring robots in, they'll bring drones like they're doing. The whole point of the drones is basically they don't have manpower, so they're gonna use drones. They can just blow them up and throw them at each other. There was a movie, I think it was with I want to. This is movies from the '80s, guys. I'm an older millennial, so I'll bring all these references. But I can't remember the name of the movie. But they were like selling F-16s to like some African country, and they were like, "So, you sold to this African tribe an F-16. Do they have a pilot?" It was like, "No." It's like, okay, so what? Why are you selling them a high-priced aircraft when they don't have a pilot or a way to fly it or navigate it? He's like, "Oh well." They go to war with a neighboring tribe and they take the F-16s and they roll them down a hill, and whoever like destroys the other one, they win the combat. Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's basically a modern war. It's just like we're gonna build a bunch of drones, we're gonna blow a bunch of shit up and blow up drones and things, and then whoever like loses the most amount of money wins. That's basically modern warfare in a nutshell. I think that's where it's headed. I think that, like I said, they've already, like I said, Ukraine's been trying to bring people in. They don't have a lot of money anymore to pay for it, but they had a lot of volunteers. They started paying private military contractors to come in, and even if they do run out of people, they'll try to find some way around it.
Just to be clear, it's not Ukraine that's paying; it's America.
Well, yeah, America and the EU, exactly, and Russia to an extent, indirectly. So I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, this is the new warfare, AI, robotics, drones. Basically you can make what a $30-$40 drone, $30 or $40 drone, or even $100 drone can really mess a lot of stuff up. We saw this recently in Russia that we talked about in the last podcast. Probably a CIA led.
I heard they were between $1,000 and $6,000 each. So
yeah,
let's take the expensive $6,000. Still, it's pretty cheap.
It's quite substantial. Yeah, when you compare it to $1 billion,
or $1 million missile.
Yeah.
Or 200,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I think each missile that drops is like literally like 10 like $2 or $3 million each. So it's like boom, boom, boom.
It depends what kind of missile. Like the Patriots, I think, are 100,000 each. So in that ballpark.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back to the movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage, where he's selling weapons and like he's showing the this Haji guy like just do and all, and he's like he had the sound bite in there, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So like each bullet that's hitting out, it's like dollars being spent. And that movie, like I said, I like watching a lot of movie references because like in movies and literature, guys, you're going to get a lot more information than you will from lamestream media or any type of retarded influencers that are basically part of the system pig monopoly. But more or less, Gonzalo Lira talked about this quite often. He said literature is really good for kind of understanding how human nature works and how society works, because a lot of these literary artists, I think Tolstoy, who was a Tolstoy, and there was another one, I forget his
name.
I think that's who it was. He was in a concert. He was in a
Solzhenitsyn.
And Jordan Peterson talks about him quite often, and like I said, he talked a lot about this. Even 1984, George Orwell. This is written by This is written by I'm drawing a blank here. You follow him. 1984. Orwell. So Orwell was he was in the military. He was in the combat, and he wrote a lot of this because of what he was seeing with communism and different stuff going on. And he did adaptations. Like Animal Farm, which we did cover with Swen and Lupiter before, that basically adaptating geopolitical, stuff, putting it into literature, like using animals and stuff as representation for the whole geopolitical landscape. So, like I said, just covering literature and all this stuff, it is what it is. That's why I like to talk about it.
Fiction literature is a higher level of truth. Usually, it's Like it's hard to write good fiction. You have to look at the truth and you have to compose almost a higher truth. And this is what Jordan Peterson is very good at talking about, the psychological dimension of it and the mythological and narrative. And it's esoteric for a lot of people, and they make fun of it and they say, Jordan, like, what are you really talking about? A dragon is a real thing because it represents a flying lion, fire breathing. It's the apex of predator. It's like, so are you saying a dragon is real? Yes. It's like, okay, in the fictional sense, yeah, a dragon is real and this is why, and it's a higher truth. But a dragon's obviously not real, and it's a different vocabulary. It's a higher vocabulary. He's not wrong. He's not crazy. He's not seeing things you're not. He's just talking in a higher abstract dimension. So writing good fiction is hard. Writing good nonfiction, like really good nonfiction, is hard too. But yeah, some of the greatest writing, I think, is fiction.
Exactly, and I totally agree with you on that. And I decided because I'm a professor by trade, and I'm teaching an English Lit course right now to high school students, and they want me to I'm actually waiting to take an international job to teach English Lit, and I find it more fulfilling, I think, to teach English Lit than my normal like geopolitical and economics and things of that nature. I find it more fulfilling because you can get more into it and more in depth, like we're talking about, and you could teach certain truths, Plato and Plato's Republic and different things, the cave, and that's what the Matrix and a lot of these movies are all about, that all these different influencers talking about. I don't think they've ever read Plato's Republic, but it's a good geopolitical book, but it's also a good fictional book as well. Yeah, that being said, let's get into the bromance between Musk and Trump, and maybe we can conclude with that, or get into the OF stuff as well.
So everyone knows that Trump is the president of the United States of America, and everyone knows that Trump is probably, on paper, the wealthiest private individual. These are big air quotes. So what you have is the most powerful man against the most powerful, richest man. Now, of course, who's going to win? 250 billion man, who's the CEO of X? No, not anymore. XAI, Tesla, SpaceX, versus the CEO of the United States of America. Yeah, I think I'm going to side with the president in terms of power here. In terms of who's right, I'm not going to get into that. But that's the preamble. On paper, the most powerful man in the world versus on paper, the most rich man in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it brings parallels here. It reminds me of like Republic of Georgia. Saakashvili had a lot of like Trumpish type rhetoric and support, and he was very and I don't want to compare Trump to Saakashvili, because Saakashvili was quite a libertarian anarcho-capitalist type person, and he did change a lot in Georgia, and he did create a lot of wealth and brought a lot of investment, brought in America, and all these different EU things, and that's why Georgia is as developed as it is now. However, he had division, just like Elon Musk, with Ivanishvili, who basically ran as a prime minister, started his own party, and then put all his people in, and that's the party that's in power today. He basically did a soft coup and took out the United Party and Saakashvili. Long story short, Saakashvili is in prison today. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. But who knows, man? I mean, money talks and BS walks, basically. So we talked about that previously earlier today in the podcast. I mean, that could be risky. However, Elon Musk, as I said before in the Telegram group a year ago, 2 years ago, I said that in 2025 you could see this digital age bust where these media icons and powerful digital nomads or digital CEOs could go bankrupt, and Elon Musk was on the list of people that I thought that could lose everything, just like Zuckerberg and among others. And the reason why, like I said, is Elon Musk is basically solely dependent on federal funding. So he gets grants, he gets energy grants with the Teslas. He, with Starlink, he gets a lot of federal funding and federal grants for that. A lot of military applications, like it's Ukraine right now is using the Starlink.
And importantly, his net worth is tied up in equity of the underlying
Stocks.
private company. Yeah, in the stocks.
Right.
You take, for example, the Bernard Arnault, who's the owner of Louis Vuitton and all the various different ones. They're like really cash flow businesses. They can just like print a bag for for thousands of dollars, and he can just get the cash. So I think he's allegedly, according to this list, number 9, 152 billion. But he's actually, I think, more wealthy than Musk, Zucker, Bezos, maybe Gates, just because it's just so liquid. I don't know what he does with his money, but he owns a lot, a lot of companies.
I'm sure. There was an issue there recently, I guess, like that particular individual, his company was being scrutinized for making Chinese-made bags and selling it for high prices. I don't know if there's a lot of truth to that. We did cover that with the high-end market, but more or less, like with Musk, he could easily be bankrupt by the federal government, by Trump. Trump could cut off the spigot, and like his companies fail overnight. And I've said this many times. I said this,
Which
is
is
the reason
why it's the stupidest thing to go up against the president of the United States of America, who funds your businesses. You know,
exactly. Because let's face it, X is is a failing. It's a zombie company, as I said before. And one of my first tweets, or one of my first posts in the locals channel was Tesla not Tesla, but X, or now I guess Twitter, or X now, is basically a zombie company, and that you'll see eventually it will fail, which it has. It's basically an echo chamber. Just like True Social, these are just basically billionaires like putting space rockets into outer space and sending celebrities, to the lower troposphere, and claiming that they're astronauts. I mean, it is what it is. These companies are bloated. They're just wasting and throwing money around. And the reason why is because it's your money. It's taxpayers' money. A lot of these companies, like Amazon, like Microsoft, like Facebook. I mean, a lot of this is your money. It's taxpayer funded.
the worst part was George Soros in
Oh yeah.
the Department of Government Efficiency leaks or releases. They went, yeah, we're funding. The U.S. government, via USAID and otherwise, has been funding George Soros to subvert your countries.
100%. 100%. And that's what I'm saying. It's a merger of state and corporate powers in the 14th Amendment that we talked about before. Because all the 14th Amendment is a restructuring of the Constitution. It's a way that the government stripped you of your rights as a citizen of this country, or of the American, United States, the American Empire. But more or less, like I said, Musk, SpaceX, for instance. SpaceX, like most of the funding for SpaceX, all that SpaceX is an NGO. It's basically a privately held company that is funded solely by the government. And that at any time, Trump or any government official can actually confiscate his company and say, this is now a national security issue. You no longer own your company. We have taken it. They could take it from them. They could take Starlink from them, and then they could bankrupt Tesla by saying, we're not giving any more grants. Excuse me, we're not giving more grants, and also like you owe this amount of money in taxes, and they can completely ruin and bankrupt them, no problem, easily, and totally legally too, within the spectrum, and then say, oh, by the way, you're being deported back to South Africa.
Well,
Just
he's a U.S. citizen though. He was naturalized.
Yeah, but they could find a way through. There is ways. I'm not going to get too far in the legality of it, but there are ways there are ways that the government.
This is the thing. If they can deport the most rich person in the world who's a naturalized U.S. citizen, then anyone else that's not born a natural U.S. citizen is really in existential insecurity.
Yeah, and I've said that many times. That's what we're getting into with the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment is what guarantees Musk to have to keep his citizenship and to have his certain rights that he has in this country. And the thing about it is the same 14th Amendment also keeps him as a billionaire. That's what's ironic about it. It's like you basically you're going against a government that has rewrote the Constitution through an amendment, the 14th Amendment, that basically gives the federal government pure authoritarian rule over you and your companies and the American people in general. I guess was it the rule through the barrel of a gun kind of concept. And at any time, they could just bye, see you. So if they basically repeal the 14th Amendment, which I think is going to come up this year or next year in the Supreme Court, which I've said many times, and when it does come up, if they do repeal the 14th Amendment, that's the only way they're going to be able to successfully do this mass deportation, because that puts rights back to the states. So it no longer allows the federal government to dictate who is a citizen, who's naturalized, and it refers back to the states how it was pre 19 or pre 14th Amendment basically. And this is going to come into question. And that's what I thought Trump was going to do. He's on the roll with it. I mean, with everything that he's doing, he's really hinting towards repeal that 14th Amendment with the mass deportation, with the blanket tariffs on corporations and going after certain corporations and all this stuff. That is hinting towards that 14th Amendment, because the 14th Amendment, which is reason why we have this bloated system, why we have these state and corporate powers, why we have these big multinationals, is through the 14th Amendment. That's where the juggernaut and the giant started growing. I know Aaron Clary had talked about that pre 14th Amendment, the American GDP was so significantly high comparably to the rest of the world that if they continued with that amount of GDP and wealth, that it would be 10 times the amount, and literally like the current GDP or the current like economic power that the American government or the federal government does, or the empire has, would be 10 times as powerful. But the 14th Amendment's what hindered that, because it basically took rights as like the anarcho-capitalism or like free market economy, and it made it into that corporationistic 14th Amendment fascist type system. Yeah, I mean, we could go in on I could go in this all day. I mean, we're at 106, but more or less, how do you think the outcome is going to be with this? Swen, you can comment anytime you want on that, on the Elon Musk, the Trump situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's the technocrats. So you have Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, these people with Palantir, and then you have this like massive servers that Elon Musk is building in certain towns in the United States. They set up like a massive operation with like 100,000 GPUs running. In like about 6 weeks, they had this whole like server running for the whole thing with Grok AI, because well, yeah, their model wasn't as advanced as the Google one or the other one, so they had to like sprint it, so to say. And because of their ties to the government, all of this like data is underhand. This sort of AI stuff is about to get out of control. The whole Trump Musk thing, they had a supposed fight. I don't know if you saw this, but Elon Musk already repented. Elon Musk already recanted his like attacks on Trump. He's already saying sorry. Um, there is a relationship there. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's just these people. What's going to happen in the end with Musk and Trump is not really known. But what is known is that uh, this sort of political battles are being used to bolster support for them in one way or another. They're trying to get people to support them in the last ways possible that they can convince people of like this whole migration, deportation of the migrant stuff. It's like people are rallying for Trump and Elon Musk even in 2025 as they are destroying everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. This is what happens when empires decline. That's why the topic today is what a dying empire looks like, and that dying empire is hyperinflation, Weimar Republic style economic decline, authoritarian rule, basically corporations, companies, and billionaires going broke, the average consumer being tapped out, taxation to infinity and beyond, QE to infinity and beyond, blanket tariffs. I mean, these are all literally stuff that empires that are failing and dying. This is what happens. This is what I said was going to happen in hashtag 2025. And we are in it now. And I said by summer we would start to see the major decline, and we would see eventually mass protest and color revolutionary style disorder throughout the country. And sure enough, I guess the timeline pretty accurate. And I said by the fall we would see the first collapse. We'd see the first crash. It may take a while for it to fully go rock bottom, but we will start seeing. We saw the hiccups in the first quarter, which I said March, end of March, we would see the first hiccup. We saw that with the digital, basically digital Silicon Valley decline in that regard, and then we saw a hiccup with the crypto. And then we saw also the correction with the stock market shortly thereafter, which I predicted and said was going to happen. And then by summer, I said there would be color revolutions that would be starting across the globe. We haven't seen one here in Georgia. I don't know if we're going to actually have one. I think pretty much people have settled down. They're kind of like, okay, it is what it is. It's not that bad here. We'll get to it, and we'll have another election cycle in 3 years, basically, no big deal. But yeah, I mean, America is not in a very advantageous situation, not a very good situation, and it is affected overseas. I see it here in Georgia. I'm sure Adam sees a little bit of the inflation there with the tariffs and different stuff going on.
Not only is there a little bit of inflation here, but from in 6 months, 7 months on the new year, Bulgaria is going to transition into the Eurozone or ascend into the Eurozone. And based on historical evidence and just empirical analysis, inflation immediately thereafter should increase by 20%, like almost immediately, or maybe over the next however many months. Just imagine if something cost 5 lev one day, instead of it going to the equivalent of €2.50, they just mark it up to 3. Okay, well that's a 20% increase, just like that. And so you'll see, especially, when it comes to houses, it's not really going to have too much of an impact. Land, maybe some arbitrage, but not really. But when it comes to all the small things, which all add up, yeah, it matters, and that has a huge effect on inflation. And it's not measured. It's not given adequate measurement in the official statistics.
Yeah. And I mean, nonetheless, like I said, going to the final topic of the night with the women's, apparently OF, the website is trying to sell. They're trying to get rid of trying to put the website up for sale. And I guess it has a huge valuation, but the thing is I don't think anybody wants to buy it. And the reason why is because the AI revolution, and that now there's AI e-girls, and apparently it's quite saturated the market, and there's a lot of other platforms that are competing. And this is what I said would end up happening as well. We call it only beans in the Telegram group. Basically, women are going to have to resort to basically their OF stuff for beans and for food, because food's going to be so hyperinflated that they won't be able to survive without actually getting multiple simps to basically support them economically. And I think that we're at that point now in 2025. I thought it would take a little while, but it's starting to see that. You're seeing, I'm seeing all kinds of stuff, like different e-girls, like literally professional women that work in work for law firms and police officers and all kinds of stuff, that are actually going to OnlyFans and different types of social media platforms to grift and try to get money, because they have shortfalls in their economic viability. I mean, the Wolverine nails and the hair and the makeup and the Botox and all the different stuff, it costs money, at the end of the day. And the tattoos and piercings and all that stuff costs money. So they've got to get it from somewhere, What do you guys think, Swin? We're going to close with this, by the way. Adam or Swin?
The OnlyFans problem, all of this different. Yeah, it's just, these are indicators. Someone was talking on YouTube the other day, some sort of woman YouTuber. They were talking about using the amount of present visible prostitution within society as a way to measure how bad things are, how desperate the economic situation is. And this gigantic rise in prostitution tells you that all of these people are so unable to find any opportunities anywhere, that they, like this woman, that they are willing to completely ruin the way that people see them for the rest of their lives, just so that they can earn some money. And of course,
an
Sims are
absurdly
gonna
low amount of money.
Yeah,
absurdly low amount of money, $300 to $500 a month. But go ahead.
Yes, yeah, it's for the average content creator, they don't make that much money, and it's just sell all of your dignity, whatever, for $500. Yeah, it's just not good stuff. a lot of these services are going to collapse because of the AI revolution, whatever. Yeah, like this very advanced, very realistic videos are going to overtake the internet, and there's going to be a demand for human content like never before. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and generally during recessions, apparently the lady of the evenings, alcohol and gambling, it usually does pretty well. But at this time, I think we're in I think we're in a depressionary, like 2.0, like Great Depression 2.0. And I think that it's going to be saturated. I think the market, because I'm already seeing it here in Georgia. I saw it. I don't know about America per se, but what I'm seeing on social media from other influencers, it's quite saturated as well. I'm sure it's saturated in Europe as well.
So what you're saying is, if I want to be a multi-millionaire in the next 5 years, I should go into Andrew Tate 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that per se, but yeah, I mean, gambling, it is what it is. When people are depressed, people go to gambling, they go to alcoholism, and they go to EOF. That's why during the lockdowns, during COVID, those three businesses made huge amounts of profit. Online casinos, OnlyFans, and what was the
Vice,
other one? And
Vice,
alcohol.
Vice.
Yeah, Vice.
Degeneracy, subversion, Vice.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the reality. It's just to numb the pain and just like like
I, I have a
basically.
close friend of mine in Serbia. He's telling me, um, I can't find any job. I applied for 100 jobs. I can't find any. I need to like build a life. So I came across this opportunity in which friends of mine are telling me that if I and them get together to associate ourselves to basically steal gaming accounts from very rich people, like gaming accounts from like people that are earn quite a bit of money, and then we hijack their accounts. Did Professor Red Pill live? Oh, hello. Yeah.
We're
So
here. I'm
basically,
listening.
he was saying, yeah, we are gonna hijack their accounts, and then we're gonna like force them to pay money to us. And he's telling me that, yeah, other friends of mine are already doing this, and they're getting like $20,000 a month. This is a very profitable business. And but he's like, I know it's evil and like demonic, but but it's so much money though. It's like so much money though. He's like being like pulled into it because of the way that society is. Like everyone is like resorting to
People are desperate.
vice. Yeah, we're
Yeah, people
desperate.
are desperate, and that's what I said would happen. If you remember, Swin, I said that I talk about decline. We're in the decline. We are in it, guys. I said it would happen in 2025. Hashtag 2025. We are in a decline. This is what you're going to see. And more importantly, what you're going to see is you're going to see massive amounts of scams, frauds, and deceit, vices, and that's what we're seeing. They just closed down a call center here that was run by a small hat club, and apparently they were stealing like millions of euro from like senior citizens in Germany. And yeah, they closed it down here because this government's pretty transparent. They don't like that kind of stuff here. But yeah, I mean, this is more the same. Just be careful, guys. Like I said, don't get hooked into these scams. Just be tight with your money if you can. I mean, you could throw me a couple of shekels. You could throw Adam a couple of shekels. Even Swen, you could throw a couple of shekels. Help us out, dude. I mean, because we put a lot of time and effort. I invest a lot of into this equipment and stuff. But I mean, I'm talking about like some e-girl calling you and saying that she's got to go get her like teeth done. It's going to cost like $4 million. I mean, that's kind of like, dude, are you serious? Like, that e-girl might be an AI bot run by some Bengali in like somewhere in like in Bangladesh, and he's like, if you heard the real voice, he'd be like, "Hello, Nico, can you send me $50 for my eye exam for my mummy?" That sort of thing. That's what it would sound like, but really, it's like, "Ooh, send me this blah blah blah." But I said, just watch out for scams. I mean, the reality is the hoflation is going to be real. You're going to see it. What's his name that you mentioned before? The Andrew Taint, yeah, that guy's gonna go broke, man. He's gonna go bankrupt because his e-business is gonna fail. It's probably already failing. It's probably oversaturated with all of his rented leased cars and stuff that he's got and fake Rolexes. But I mean, more or less, like I said, it's done. Like I said, I told you guys to wait until 2026. If you're lonely, and you're looking for a chick, wait till 2026. These women will be quite humbled, and literally like a can of beans will be able to get you a date. And if you save your shekels and you work hard and you learn how to live like that minimalist lifestyle that Aaron Clary talks about. I don't talk about that. I talk about stoic lifestyle. Terrence Popp will tell you just don't even worry about it in general. So whatever the influencer in our network that you want to listen to, their advice, it is what it is. I'm just saying stoically, focus on yourself, self-improvement, invest in into your future, read, research, learn some skills, learn some tool, learn how to like build stuff, learn how to work on your own car to save some money, this sort of thing. And you save a little shekel at a time. That's it. You don't have to change your lifestyle. Aaron Clare says you have to, live that kind of like minimalist lifestyle. I think just live like within your means. Try to save money everywhere you can. Learn, like say like when because I worked in agriculture for a little bit. I know a lot of farmers, and a farmer was like, "Hey, dude, when my cow's sick, we just have the vet come out, and the vet will teach us how to do it next time. So in case if we have to deal with it again, we don't need the vet anymore. We could just call the vet and get the medication and just do it ourselves. Because the vet called, like, whoever knows how much it costs for them to come out. He's just like, yeah, the cow's sick again. He's like, it's doing this. Yeah. All right. Well, here, I'll just come pick up the medication at the office, and then you can just do it yourself. I told you I'd do it before. And that's how, and farms are a business. If you want to learn, sorry to get into this tangent, but if you want to learn how to run a small business, run a farm. The farm will teach you everything you need to know in the economics. When I was at business school, that's what they told me. They were like, this is how you run a farm. Farm's the easiest and best way to learn how to run small business. And it's because you have to figure out how to like save money everywhere you can and try to learn how to do it yourself. Be self-sufficient, stoic. Learn how to do it yourself so you don't have to rely on other people, because we're getting to that period of time in this economic landscape where you're going to have a lot of people that aren't going to want to do stuff. They're going to want high dollar. They're going to like scam you. They're not going to do the work, and you're going to have to sue them. And the lawsuit, it's not going to be worth your time to sue them. And it's better just to learn how to do it yourself and do it yourself. Aaron Clary does that himself. But that's all I'm going to say on that. I think the whole inflation is out of control at this point. I think there's going to be a lot of like Adam's got his little kitty cat, and there's going to be a lot of women with kitty cats and box wine and kitty cat land, and they probably can't even afford to feed their little kitty cats in kitty cat land, so they're probably going to have to lease it, or find an Adam Maxwell who's got a kitty cat and move in with him so they have their kitty cat and box wine. But more or less, I'm done. That's all I wanted to cover. Adam, if you wanted to close with anything, or Swen, and we'll close this out.
That's it for now. It's just everybody, again, take care, because things are about to get quite tight, so to say, very tight. Just hold on to whatever you have.
Follow us on Telegram, Rumble, Locals, YouTube. Get involved. Thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, comment to anything you have on there, anything you want to share, like about your personal experiences, like anything that anything we talked about, like help the algorithm a little bit. Share with friends. I'll close with that, man. Thanks guys for joining us on the Liberty Report. Adam and Swen for coming on, and we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same bat channel, same bat time, around that time. We try to start between 1 to 2 Eastern Standard Time, give or take, around that time, PM. Yep. So everybody can see us in Europe and the Middle East and Africa and Americas, and then parts of Asia, because it's, well, not in Asia because it's probably too late. But all right, take care, guys.